Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of Talk Exchange. Our guest today is Christina Meredith, who is a true advocate in the fight against child abuse. She empowers others with her inspiring life story, having survived sexual, mental, and emotional abuse, trauma, aging out of foster care, poverty, and homelessness, to forge a life committed to helping others. She is a renowned speaker. She is an author of not one, but two books. The second one is on the way. She just has one of those stories where you listen to it and you just think to yourself, wow, how could anyone have survived that? In fact, as you'll learn today, she was homeless for about a year and a half, living out of her car. So again, just a great story. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we will see you again next week.
Welcome to Talk Exchange. I'm Tracy Edwards, CEO of the National Exchange Club.
And I'm Christy Lindahl, Director of Communications.
Hi, Christy.
Hey, Tracy.
So it's a busy time of year for us as we gear up for our national convention. Looking forward to seeing a lot of members from around the country. It's always a busy time, but yes. I guess busy with the focus of convention.
Right.
So we were reflecting back on our convention last year, which happened in July in San Antonio, where Christina Meredith was our guest. And so we thought we'd reach out to Christina and catch up with her. We've been following her schedule. Yeah. She's been pretty busy this year. I know she was just joining one of our centers in Florida for their event, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're happy to have with us Christina Meredith, a survivor, a foster care advocate, a mental health advocate, an author, soon to be movie producer, and really an inspiration and a help and support to so many people. So welcome, yes. Christina.
Oh, gosh. Thank you so kindly for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So when we were together in San Antonio, I know we had a line a mile long with people wanting to buy your book, Cinder Girl, and you talked a little bit about the movie deal you had just signed. How is that looking at this point? What's transpired since we saw you in July?
The development is still ongoing. Movies are a lot longer to make than books, I am learning. So it's still ongoing, and I'm very excited and hopeful about that. It's a dream to see your life story come to life, and the people that it'll impact. It's exciting. It's an exciting journey.
Well, you know what memory stands out for me from that convention is obviously that long line of people waiting for your book. But in the days that followed at convention, the people just sitting in spaces around the hotel reading the book, and our national Ace of the Year award winner, who has accepted the challenge of excellence and overcome traumatic things in her own life, finished the entire book within about 24 hours. She was so inspired by you, and I know got to meet you. So that shows the impact of you sharing your story. So thank you for that.
Oh, gosh. I've heard that it's a quick read. People often message me or email me or, come to the table wherever I'm at an event. And they're like, I read your book. I couldn't put it down. 4 hours.
What a compliment.
So fast.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know that it's a quick read, but it's they get drawn in so much and they want to hear the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So for those members who are listening, or even non-members, maybe haven't had a chance to read your book or haven't even heard your story, is there a little synopsis you want to give?
Yes.
Yeah. So I grew up here in First Coast, Northeast Florida, St. Augustine originally, and then made my way up to Jacksonville. So true First Coast native. And my siblings and I grew up abused and neglected severely, and DCF started coming around when I was 9. Police started coming around same time. But all the reports would go, to the side because my mother was dating the lawyer for the sheriff's department. So for years and years and years, this little dance went around with us 8 kids, everyone knowing that something was wrong, but essentially them figuring out ways to squash it until my ROTC teachers in high school, who cared about me, who brought me lunches, who, really loved me. First time I ever experienced love, I think I was 14.
Oh my God.
It was in the form of, Master Chief McFarland telling me to run around the track again because I'm not a quitter. And I was like, that's right, I'm not a quitter. So my ROTC teachers, they they loved me. And so I started confiding in them, and they saw it. You know, I'd come to school with bloody noses. I'd come to school dirty. I didn't have food. It was just all the telltale signs were there. So eventually, it's my teachers who saved me. And finally, DCF came and took us away when I was 16 after years of horrific abuse, like bad. But it took a long time. And then after I aged out of foster care, I tried to get an ROTC scholarship because I was, you know, in love with ROTC. I wanted to be an officer so bad, but I was a C student. I didn't learn to read until high school because my mother didn't let me go to middle school. So, you know, I was a C student, and thinking I could be an officer was a dream. And I did get rejected from all of the scholarships, ROTC scholarships. So when I aged out at 18 and graduated high school, I didn't have anywhere to go. I couldn't afford college. And Master Chief and his wife, who were going to adopt me, sadly, my junior year, Master Chief passed away from cancer. So I was truly, you know, the only, gosh, I love that man. He saved me, but I didn't have anyone. So I moved into my car. And that's when I started dreaming of Cinder Girl, writing my story and changing foster care, reforming foster care. And how come girls like me who don't do drugs and don't drink and don't do anything bad are, you know, still getting these rotten deals? I was so upset. And I just decided right then, 18 and homeless, living out of my 2-door Chevy Cavalier, bright yellow like a school bus, called her Sunny. And I decided I was going to make a difference and fight. And I started writing Cinder Girl then, and I started writing down, at the time I didn't know it, but I was writing down policy reform, things I wanted to make a difference in child abuse prevention and aged out foster youth, which led me to compete in Miss California in 2013, which miraculously I won because I was an ROTC tomboy. I didn't go to prom. I was working a double at Firehouse Subs, and you know, I was a tomboy, true tomboy, and pageantry was not a thing for me. I love the military, but I saw the opportunity when I looked online at the website. I was like, dang, this could help me reform foster care. This could launch me, you know, into my dreams. And so I competed and I did it. And again, miraculously, I won, much to my surprise. And my platform was reforming foster care. And I started the Christina Meredith Foundation and started doing policy at the federal and state level, and finished writing Cinder Girl, sold that to HarperCollins in 2016, did a national book tour in 2019. And in 2016, after I signed with HarperCollins, I had not given up on my dream to become an officer. I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I enlisted in the Army to turn my enlistment into a commission, and I was accepted to be a cadet at the University of Florida. And so while I was doing my national tour, I was a cadet at UF, and I was a student at UNF trying to get my degree. And then in 2020, after 4 years of my enlistment, you know, being a CBRN, a chemical, biological, nuclear, radiological warfare specialist, we just CBRN. The guys in the mop suits, you don't want to see us. I finally commissioned, graduated with a degree, which took me a long time, took me a decade to put myself through school. But commissioned as a signal intelligence officer, and I'm still doing that today. That was 2016, and I got picked up by a speaking agency shortly after my national book tour, and I've just been continuing to, you know, lead the way in child welfare reform, specifically trauma care and homelessness and prevention. I'm about to pin 03, about to be a captain, so that's exciting.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you so kindly. A little over 8 years in, so it's about due. And yeah, I mean, just my next book is almost complete, and I'm just, you know,
you're a
I'm still
force.
blooming.
Wow,
You are a
amazing.
force. Yeah.
You're watching my life continue to unfold. I'm not done yet, right? So
Oh, we love it. More power to you. And thanks for just sharing this with people. I know that recently you partnered with one of our centers, Ready for Life in Pinellas County. They conduct our parent aid program at their center, which is designed for youth aging out of foster care. I know it's obviously one of your platforms and close to your heart. Tell us about that event and what it means, you know, after convention to stay in touch with exchange club partners and centers based on the help you can provide to them and the inspiration.
Yeah, I did Clearwater, and then I just did Jacksonville last week.
Great.
They had their luncheon for child abuse prevention, and
Mm-hmm.
it is, I'll just be honest, it's healing for me to be invited
Mm-hmm.
to these events and these moments with your teams and with your people, because I was that kid that you're
Mm-hmm.
serving. So for me, it's like God brought it full circle.
Oh, I'm tearing up right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's very powerful. It's very,
Yes.
for me on a very personal level, working with your clubs and with these organizations, it's just, it's such a gift to me. And I love being able to give back. And, you know, Ready for Life, Kathy does such amazing work down there. Clearwater is really, really giving these kids these opportunities, the stability that they need, these guardrails so that they can be successful. And so watching these young adults with their signs of what Ready for Life has given them, it's magical. I mean, nothing short of just, you know, they're changing the trajectory of life. We all know the statistics for kids like me. You know, it's abysmal. It's despicable. So, you know, to see these young people take advantage of the opportunities that Ready for Life and other exchange clubs offer them in their community, it's a big deal. And so I'm always so proud to stand up with former alumni, foster care alumni, and, you know, hug each other and say, gosh, keep going, keep fighting the fight.
Yes.
Because it is, you know, even still for me, I have a daughter now who turns 3, and I don't have parents, you know, and she doesn't have grandparents. And the Lord's given us some people, you know, some mentors, and my adoptive mom, who basically adopted me when I was 20, Mama Lori, she's in my book. Call her Gigi. Bray calls her Gigi, and that's such a gift. But it's still really hard, right? So when you age out of foster care, even if you get the good job and you get the housing and you get the degree and you know, let's say you find an amazing spouse and you have children, it's still really hard because you probably don't have parents still. You probably don't have that family unit to walk through all those moments. So I always try to encourage, you know, my fellow alumni in those moments, like, hey, but you're changing the path for your kids. Your kids will have you. And so it's like, it's all very healing and lovely and wonderful. And it's always exciting to see my peers be successful in whatever they choose to do. You know, these organizations really are doing great work in the communities.
Absolutely. And I know it means a lot to them for you to be there so that those youth can see you and can feel hope and can feel like, wow, you did these things, we can too. And it just means the world to them for you to be there and part of that experience.
Absolutely.
You gotta fight. We're all fighters. We're all fighting.
Well, and it's unique, your experience that you're able to share, you know, with these children. We all know it's a long road, but we don't know, you know, and for them to see you standing up there, the embodiment of what it looks like to keep going and that it is possible is very different.
Right.
I think, because you understand the path they're on and that it's not going to be easy.
And I can imagine it gives you hope as well, because thinking back to what you said when you were in your car starting your book and you talked about what you wanted to see happen, and fast forward to today where a center like Ready for Life exists and can provide some of those things to the kids that you didn't have, that wasn't available then.
Yeah, you know, when I think back about when I was homeless and if I had an organization like Ready for Life, how different my life would have been. You know, homelessness is harsh. I was homeless for a little over a year and a half, and it was one of the hardest, you know, hardest times of my life. I will never forget having to take showers at the beach excess and the shame that comes with that, especially as a young girl. It was scary at times. You know, you don't want to park in the wrong places, and I was thankful and blessed to, you know, I was safe. Nothing ever happened to me. But there were times where I had to drive away because I thought something bad was going to happen. You know, it's just, homelessness can really rob you of a lot of things. And so, you know, if I had an organization that could have supported me in that, I would have been spared a lot of suffering and a lot of shame. But I also wouldn't have become who I am today without those yucky things happening. And I'll tell you what, I never take a shower for granted, even if it's an Army shower, only 30 seconds. I'm so thankful.
Wow. So what's next for you? I know you mentioned another book in process. Of course, the film is coming soon, and you're helping share your story with so many organizations and kids in those positions. It sounds like you're doing a lot. But what do you see as the future for you?
So I'm definitely my next book, Moms Don't Get Sick. That's going to be a really
Oh.
big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of women will relate to it. Both stay-at-home moms and working moms will relate to Moms Don't Get Sick. So, very excited about that. The journey of motherhood is gloriously beautiful and hard, right? So love being able to just share that with other women and commune in that joy and that gift. And then continuing, to spearhead policies that really impact change, because you can have the organizations like Ready for Life. You can have these other organizations that, support wraparound services, but without the correct policy to ensure that it's stable and long lasting, it's, you have to have all the pieces. So policy for me is going to continue to be one of my biggest war paths, because I think it's important. And then obviously, the movie development, always excited about that. And then next week I'll be in Miami. The United Way is having me speak at one of their luncheons. So, I'm continuing to move and grow in the Army still for another year.
And you just like sleep on planes and whatnot, right?
Sleep when my toddler lets me sleep.
Right.
We all know.
We know who runs the house.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, long term, I've always, I'm applying to my master's at Johns Hopkins to get, hopefully they'll accept me for a global security master's degree. I got my degree in political science and international affairs. So, that community has always been aligned with my military background. And so I think future, maybe you'll see me doing some world policy that affects change. Affects change for women and children on a bigger scale.
And we'll be able to say, wow, we knew her back then. And not that back when is anything shy of amazing itself.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Well, we'll look forward to following.
Store, but I'm on the path to keep doing what I can do to make a difference. That's for sure.
Well, we're thankful for you and for all the work that you do to help change lives for people. And we're going to keep in touch with you to see what you do next, because we're fully on your team and here, cheerleading you, and just so thankful for your partnership and your support with exchange clubs and centers and all the work you do.
Again, it's my honor. What you guys are doing in each community, it really matters. And it means a lot to me that I'm, a small part in the boots on the ground that are really making the changes for these young people and these kids. And these families. And, your parent aid program it's incredible. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Well, thanks to today's guest. And Christina, where can our listeners find out more about you and your journey and what's next?
So Instagram is my biggest platform that I usually put things out on. My website, ChristinaMeredith.org. Also, if you're interested in booking me, there's a link to my speaking agent on my Instagram and on my website. But Instagram is where I usually update everything. That's going to be taken over soon. I'm about to hire somebody to help handle all that and make it better.
I would say you deserve a helping hand in life.
Yes. One less thing that I have to, steward. So yeah, those two platforms are most accessible to see, like, what's happening, what's going on, where is she now?
Great. Well, I'm sure listeners will be definitely wanting to learn more about you. So thank you for joining us. And to our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about the Exchange Club, the Exchange Club nearest you, or any of our prevention of child abuse centers, please visit nationalexchangeclub.org. And thanks for tuning in to this episode of Talk Exchange. And many thanks to you, Christina, and all the best.
It's my joy. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You are on fire in life. You just drop
Definitely.
it in. Oh, I'm going back for my master's.